Today, I'm going to compare the Apple Watch Ultra wristband to an aftermarket. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda. I have a couple of watch bands here that come on the Apple Watch Ultra. This is actually the watch band that I took off my Ultra here. A very, very fine watch, and as you can see, that has been serving me well. But I wanted to compare here quickly the original OEM Apple watch band that comes with it versus one that I just picked up, haven't even checked out yet, that is much, much cheaper, like 85% cheaper, all right? So this is, I think they call it the Trail Loop. So there is the runner's loop, which is a little bit slimmer and kind of more like the sport loop. And then there is the water watch band, the silicone one, that is much kind of chunkier and stretchy and all that. So what I think we get here on this one, as you can see, is a nice looking watch band. It's kind of tan in color here, and I think that these pieces up here, if I can go in on them, are basically titanium. So you can see here they're kind of a matte finish gray, so they're very nice. And as we look at the material, what you can see is that somehow they have fused these little loops. I think that's in the description, that they have used some sort of meshing technique as opposed to sewing them. I don't actually see stitching going across there, so they're kind of meshed together, but that creates these little loops there. And if we go all the way down to this end, then we also have like the titanium bracket or lug that would fit in there, and then we have a little titanium, I believe, a little S loop here, not just loop, S loop, that goes in and fits in there. And everything about this, you know, is very nice and screams Apple quality. Okay, so let's go to this one. FYI, this watch band from Apple is $100 if you want to order one, I believe. Now this one I just found online, and it seemed to advertise kind of the similar design, and I thought we would check it out, but it was $15. So $100 versus $15. And one of the things that I will tell you is at a glance it looks pretty similar. I will tell you that the material here does not look titanium to me. It's just got a little bit more of a shine, but it does have kind of that, a little bit of that brush finish, you know. It's not as smooth. You can see the kind of the dimples or the texture in the metal just a little bit more. This band material here looks pretty similar. Again, I don't see sewing lines there. I will say it feels just maybe a hair stiffer and maybe not as flat. You can kind of just feel the workmanship and the sewing and the material a little bit more. I would say that physically, and if you were to publish dimensions of anything, it seems just about the same. Even this loop here has just a little bit of curve to it. So if I take out the Apple Watch one here, just like that, you can see they have just a little bit of curve. So that seems to mimic it to fit your wrist a little bit better. But again, here's where you can maybe see the material difference a little bit. This one is just a little bit shinier and maybe just a bit more imperfections in the metal. This one is kind of that titanium gray and much smoother with a bead blasted finish. And then if we look at the way it's constructed here, you can see a little bit of difference there, a little smaller overhang, and obviously the color is pretty close, but you can see that the weave of this nylon, I think that's why this feels a little softer, seems to be a smaller thread over here, so it looks like a little bit larger thread, so you get just a little bit of a kind of wider pattern. And then even the lug here, very similar. At a glance, hard to tell, but again, the fit and finish on the Apple one is just a little bit better, you know, smoother, grayer, more consistent look. And then if we flip it over here, just want to take a look at, you know, I'm just going to put them side by side. Again, the finish here just looks like a tighter weave. This looks a little more haphazard. And again, this feels very soft, you know, how they compress in there. And this feels more rigid. You know, if I were to compare it, like this feels like seat material, this feels like seatbelt material. Obviously, this is not as thick as seatbelt, but it's just, I can push this in and it feels and it's soft and it gives. This has quite a bit more resistance. It just feels thicker, and the color is pretty close. I mean, at a glance, you'd be hard pressed to tell the difference, but maybe just a little bit darker, and then just maybe the way the light is reflecting off the thicker material. And as you can see here, they both have those humps that the band fits into, and because this is thinner, I actually feel like the loop is going to go into those easier. So if I take the S loop here and try to get it in, it's not hard. You can see that it stretches. Actually, I feel like that's a little easier, and not be a good thing, maybe a good thing, but it's actually pretty easy to get that in and out. So no difference, maybe even a little easier on there for whatever reason. So those are two watch bands the official Apple Watch band at $100 and this aftermarket one at $15. What do I think about these? Well, I think these are expensive. Apple always marks their stuff up. Is this watch band worth $100? No, I don't think so. I mean, I think they have plenty of margin in there. But when you're buying something like this watch band, the construction is as good as any watch band out there. This one, as you can see, it actually has just a little bit of curve. It's not laying flat either. This one is laying flat, and this one is just a little bit curved. Maybe I can straighten it out there, but it just has tension in certain spots, so it's just like the small details. But I think this would work just fine. And if you want something to beat up because you're going to be doing high adventure activities and you don't want to have to worry about it, or you want to replace it later, then this is great because it's $15. Is it only 15% as good as the Apple Watch one? No, I don't think so. I actually think this one is like 50% is good. So from a value perspective, the aftermarket one is great, but in terms of overall quality, the Apple one, the OEM one, wins for sure. So that's just my take on it. If you want to pick up the original OEM Apple Trail Loop here or this aftermarket one, I'll put links to both of them in the description below. Peter Von Panda, out.
We can discover more and explore so much deeper.